Welcome back to some of the best stories from r/TalesFromTechSupport. I hope you had a great day. Thanks for all the likes and comments on the last video. And now let's take a look at the first story. It's called Military Drill. I work in big law and have for several firms. This happened late in the last century at a former employer. This firm would frequently set up raw rooms. During discovery, hardware IT, that is, me and my supervisor, would set up rows of computers. Over 60 was our largest, for contract attorneys to review gazillions of scanned documents. I'd say 25 to 40 seemed about the usual number. Back in the 90s, we used lots of 8 or 16 port Netgear hubs, connected to the wall and then to the computers. One day we got a call from a partner, and he was mad. Half of a huge room was down and they were losing tons of money and time. My supervisor was a Marine lieutenant, and the only person in the firm who wasn't terrified of him was me. So the lieutenant and I head down and start troubleshooting. First thing we noticed is a lot of the hubs were on the floor, not on the tables where we had put them. Second is one or two of them were powered off, right next to vacuum cleaner tracks. Clearly the vacuums from the cleaning crew hit the power buttons, and the fix was easy peasy. Me and the lieutenant got them on the tables, and he left to talk to the partner. Half of the room was still down. It wasn't obvious until they tried to lock back on. I'm by myself, practically pooping my pants, while these contractors are smirking, because they have law degrees. And the pro tech support guy still can't fix their issue. I'm tracing cables by hand when the lieutenant and partner return. The partner got even more upset. Smoke practically poured from his ears, and he spoke down to the lieutenant. "I thought you said this was fixed." The partner had graduated from Annapolis, left the Navy with the rank of commander, was half as old as the lieutenant, and thought he was the chosen one. The lieutenant got on another table to trace cables. We had some Netgear hubs daisy-chained together, with the cable from the wall feeding number 1 on a hub, and the last port on that hub feeding number 1 on the next hubs in the chain. That was the original setup when we set up the room. It was the lieutenant who found it. A cable from the wall into number 1, and number 8 on that hub back into the wall. It would have been hilarious if everyone who was not me knew what was about to happen. The lieutenant called me over, pointed out the issue, and told me to call the network admins after I fixed the cabling. He turned around slowly and did something that never happens in neither the military nor a big law firm. The Marine lieutenant / support guy pointed to and growled at the Navy commander / partner. "Come with me," was all he said. The commander / partner followed him into the hallway like a puppy. I saw the looks on the faces of the contract attorneys. Some were amused, some were confused. Most of them thought they were better than me, because they had law degrees. And only 2 or 3 seemed to realize something was about to hit the fan. I called the admins to get the switch reset. The lieutenant and partner returned, and they were both mad. The lieutenant spoke first. "Mr. Partner told me if there were ever any issues with your equipment, you were to call one of the supervising associates," while pointing to a whiteboard with names and extensions listed. It's obvious that not only was some equipment moved when problems developed after the vacuum cleaners hit the power buttons, that you did not call the supervising associate and try to fix it yourselves. I'm only going to ask once. Who tried to fix this issue? Dead silence. If only because I managed to stifle my laughter. The looks on a lot of faces told me they were beginning to figure things out. The partner spoke up. "Last chance. Who messed up the cabling?" Nothing. Not even crickets or stifled laughter from me. After a few moments, the partner picked up a phone and dialed an extension. "Associate, call the temp agency and get 40 new attorneys in here. These guys are all fired." To their credit, the 3 guys who messed things up then spoke up, saving the temp jobs of everyone else. But for not speaking up, all of the other attorneys had their music privileges taken away. No headsets. And they weren't given lunch on Fridays, like the contract attorneys on other jobs were. The next story is called A Sacrifice. About 25 years ago, I worked for a company doing IT install / remodel projects for retail stores. During the holidays, we didn't do projects. Don't risk breaking what works at busiest time of the year. This meant that to keep busy, I would help our field techs, usually with problems that were trouble. One year, just before Thanksgiving, we get a ticket dispatched for blood splattered on keyboard and computer. No description of the actual problem, or how blood got on a PC in the manager's office, or troubleshooting steps. The local tech asked me if I could deal with this, since they had been out 4 times for this PC, but never for something like this. I call the store, speak with the manager who placed the call. Turns out this is a training PC, and the training app keeps getting corrupted, and he can't train new hires for any department without sending them to another location. So I went out, fixed the app, and since this was in the shared manager office, turned the security camera to record the PC. While doing this, I was talking to the manager and asked where the blood splatter came from. He started laughing. He had been really frustrated and had a rough day. So when the operator asked him what he had done to troubleshoot, he told them the basics and that a tech had worked on it several times. And they then asked if there was anything else. So he said, stripped, did a voodoo dance, including chicken sacrifice to appease the IT gods. I showed him what was dispatched and he burst out laughing, and then realized this would go on his DM report for service calls. System went down again day after Thanksgiving. I went out, checked the recording for the camera, and on the night before, a couple of guys on nights were playing Doom on the one PC in the store with a working disk drive. And this was corrupting all of the specialized software, but not Windows and Internet Explorer. The working drive was required, as the county required a disk with test scores, as proof that this food safety handler course was completed properly. The third story is called Ghosts. This happened a few years ago. I have this customer who had an HP desktop that she inherited, and when the power would go out, it wouldn't boot anymore. This machine would physically turn on, but would just spin on the HP logo indefinitely and never boot. I figured out that if you unplugged the power cable and plugged it back in, that it would boot fine and work perfectly, until the power went out again. I brought the machine home a couple of times, trying to figure out the problem. I tried to replicate it by killing the power on my surge strip in the middle of use or while off, and it would boot fine again every time. While at my office, I'd give it back to her, and the next time the power goes out, it won't boot again. She got tired of it and bought a new desktop. I got it all set up for her, and I ended up with the old PC. I used that machine as my studio computer for 2 or 3 years. I never had an issue with it, even when the power would go out. On the flip side, she has never had any issues with the new machine she got when the power goes out either. Ghosts? The last story is called Google Knows. We used Cisco Finesse in the past, which is a web page for managing call queues of our contact center. Even we in tech support were using it. Our service agents had to log in every day. This user, let's call her Susan, calls and complains about not being able to log in to Cisco Finesse. This was not an unheard of problem, so I first try with my own logic to check if it's a general issue. It is not, so I connect to Susan remotely to take a look. She showed me how she tries to log in, but it fails with wrong username or password. Checking first some typical things, like wrong keyboard layout or caps lock, I take a look at the URL. It is Finesse, but definitely not our instance. I asked how she got there, but she couldn't answer. Double checking if there are any suspicious emails, but nothing. As I couldn't find out how she ended up on this page, I simply reset her password and added a bookmark for the correct URL. The next day, I was again thinking about the problem and had an idea. I entered Cisco Finesse on Google, and there it was. One of the top 10 results was the URL she used. A Cisco Finesse instance exposed to the internet. The internet-facing Cisco Finesse page is still there to this day, just with a slightly different subdomain. Fortunately, we stopped using this product entirely. Thanks for watching the video to the end. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like, comment and subscribe. And if you have time, watch another one of my videos. Also, if you want to support me further, check out the channel membership or Patreon. And now I hope you have a great day. See you soon. Bye bye.